Before we begin, I want to ask you once again to please kindly subscribe to Synergy English Brazil on YouTube and click like. And when you have the opportunity, please ring that bell. Very important for us to grow our audience. We appreciate your support. I want to introduce three more informal ways, three informal expressions or series of words that are used to convey a bridge between one thought to another thought. We're going to use these phrases within typical or common and informal speech. I want to demonstrate these three informal phrases. They're going to replace a formal word. The formal word is furthermore. Now, there's nothing wrong with using a formal word. Furthermore is an excellent word, but most Americans are not going to use furthermore unless they're in a few environments. The first environment would be the university. Suppose you're a university student and you're writing a paper, you're writing a term paper, you're writing a project. You want to have academic words as part of your conversation. Also, furthermore might be used in a business setting where more formal English is really appreciated and encouraged. But between people on a daily basis, we're going to use informal language. I do too. I would much prefer to use informal language. Here are three informal phrases that are going to replace furthermore. I want to give you more description and how these three phrases fit into a sentence. They are, by the way, on another note, and speaking of that. When you come to the United States and become part of this culture, you will hear these three phrases very frequently. I want you to know what they mean and where they come from. Let's plug in each one of these phrases into a couple of sentences, and I'll explain how they fit. First, by the way, are you coming this Saturday? Again, by the way, are you coming this Saturday? By the way, when is your birthday party? I'm sorry, by the way, when is his birthday party? We can say, when is your birthday party too? That's fine. By the way, is your family going on vacation? Why, by the way? What does that mean? By the way. By the way is a transition phrase, and it's a continuation of a previous thought, but it's an additional thought that detracts or at least moves away from the initial part of the conversation. You're changing the topic. You're changing the subject of a particular matter you're discussing. Now you want to change a little bit of a direction and introduce another topic. By the way, are you coming this Saturday? So let me demonstrate that. I'm having a conversation with you and we're talking about some random event. Suppose we're talking about, what's happening at your job. And we're having a good conversation. And suddenly I say, by the way, are you coming this Saturday? I've changed the subject from what we were talking about. Now I want to know, are you going to be coming to a party or are you going to come to dinner on Saturday? It's a continuation of a conversation, but is gone in a different direction. On another note. Now, where does this come from? On another note. For any of you who are musicians or have played an instrument or appreciate music, note is the sound or the symbol or the configuration of a musical piece. That is, suppose you're playing the trumpet. And as you're playing the trumpet, the sound of one of the notes, one of the sounds that you make is called a note. On another note is a reflection of that particular meaning. That's where it comes from. On another note, meaning something having to do with the sound of a musical tone. Now, on another note, are you coming this Saturday? On another note, when is his birthday party? On another note, is your family going on vacation? This has the same meaning as by the way. On another note, you're talking about something previously, you then use on another note, you're changing the subject and you're continuing the conversation. Conversation has gone in a little different direction. Speaking of that, are you coming this Saturday? Speaking of that, when is his birthday party? Speaking of that, is your family going on vacation? Speaking of that is a continuation of a continuous thought. We're not changing the subject matter. We're continuing with the same subject of our conversation, and you want to continue with a further thought about that particular subject. Here's another example of that. Speaking of that, you're talking with your friend about, let's say, going to dinner. And you say to your friend, hey, let's go have Chinese. And your friend says, oh, speaking of that, he's going to continue a thought about Chinese, or he's going to continue a thought about Chinese food. It's going to be a related subject. Speaking of that, oh, let's have Chinese at that particular Chinese restaurant. It's a continuation of the same subject you have already been discussing. These two are identical use, and this is a continuation of a current subject you are discussing. Thank you very much for joining me. Please click like again. See you in the next video.